and accordingly the bill shall be deemed to have been withdrawn, or as the case may be deemed to have been passed by the Assembly in the form recommended by the Governor. Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, I have had total faith in the Honorable Leader of this House. Total means total, I have never questioned. But when rules of law, the Honorable Leader of the House has said that since this is a long pending issue, like I have said earlier, we have very senior members in this August House, senior esteemed members since 1980, they have represented this August House. They have represented us in this August House. It has never been discussed or deliberated the matter with regard to Article 371C. They have discussed in the Hill Race Committee, but never in the House. When it has been brought forward to the House, it means that it has come to the knowledge and notice of the Honorable Leader of the House, as well as the custodian of this House. Is it not our duty to ensure that the rule of law prevails in a democracy like this nation of ours? If we do not, it means that we do not fulfill our duties as citizens, and especially as elected representatives. It is even more expedient for us to ensure that the rule of law prevails. The Honorable Minister, I wish to know, he has not mentioned, he has just said that he has forwarded his budget to the government, and whether the government refers it to the Hill Race Committee or not, he knows of the rule book. Yet, it is the priority of him to make sure that his responsibility as an executive within the council takes precedence, which cannot happen. That is not the definition of this law, Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir. This law says, that part in this is so very clear in para 7, the modifications in the rules of business of the government of Manipur, that is the heading, Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir. The modifications directed in the third schedule, which I had mentioned earlier, that is the communications from the Hill Race Committee to the Cabinet Council, shall be made in the rules of business of the government of Manipur, 1972, and shall not in any way be affected by any amendments that may hereafter be made in the said rules by the government under Article 166 of the Constitution of India, otherwise than with the approval of the President. Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, 166 is the article under which the central government as well as the state government, the governments function, especially the state government, they function under Article 166. It's the government's engine on how the government should run. It is so very clear here that 166 cannot take precedence over Article 371C. Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, if the Honorable Minister cannot clarify, I would be grateful if the Honorable Leader of the House can clarify clearly. It has come to his knowledge now. From the first session of this August House, I have mentioned, I have brought this agenda forward again and again. This will clarify so many things with regard to the administration of the hills and the valley. And the better part is how this will unite the administration between the hills and the valley is what is confusing to me. This has not been implemented till date. If the Honorable Leader of the House can very clearly say that yes, we will consider this and we will make sure that this law prevails. It may not have all these years. The hills love this Honorable Leader of the House. All the hills, irrespective of community. So why should he allow for the rule of law which will ensure that future generations of the hills will be empowered for life and that the state remains united? Why would you not want to ensure that this act is operational? We cannot fail ourselves as custodians of this house, and at the end, we cannot fail the constitution of this nation. Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, these 2 points I would like clarified very clearly by the Honorable Minister or the Honorable Leader of the House. Thank you, Deputy Speaker, sir.
When honorable members, when he is asked about that recommendations, if recommendation is required, then the final authority is to someone to recommend. That's why I just mentioned that recommendation required to be accepted and making a decision by someone. That is my point. I have no further deep details, information about that.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, the Honorable Minister has laid a statement on the floor of this House that the decision, the Hill Areas Committee is only a recommending authority and the decision of the Council is final. It is not. This is all I want you to clarify, that it is not, because the rules say it is not. The rules say that you have to forward the recommendation to the Honorable Governor. If you have not taken a decision, if you want to differ with the idea of the Hill Areas Committee, have you recommended it then to the Honorable Governor for decision?
Honorable Member, Kenogi Alfred Kise, am complex oiba, pak khumbasu luba. Since 1970, India the hek pullaga laws hek sema padage dum sanaraga lakhiba port ama oiba. Hai like later by convention oina dum lakhiba. Budget si siyama matung da siyamagi loyerba matung da khanaba nainaba awara pa hapaduna toba adagi hills ki TN hills na da tonganba department am leirimne madu da dum adagi budget su hills ki tongana du leibne da represent tawbasi bheli khata represent tawde department mayam sida pairiba minister sing loina khoi mix ne adagi hill areas herga hill area khudima tribal ngatana tade say example Kangpopi general ni atopa community sulai 1972 gida thoiba order sishu aribani masida leirami sei presidential order hill areas Manipur, which is reproduced as below. Manipur North, Manipur East, Manipur West, and Manipur South Revenue District. Sandhya Sekpi Karong, Tamenglong, the Revenue Subdivision of Manipur Central Revenue. Madam Dogin she give Matang that we modified to order the late man. Late. Adam Mashide, the Honorable Member. The latest MLA of a assembly constituency who was not a member of the Hill Area Committee to become member of the Hill Area Committee is the MLA of the 50 Kangpopi. Kangpopi si Hana Hill Areas Committee ki keno yogde du masida da 50 Kangpopi si oini haina simosipal. As per the definitions, as per the definition of the hill areas in the first schedule of the above mentioned Presidential Order 1972, the MLA of the following constituency are also eligible to be member of the Hill Areas Committee, as they include part of hills areas as laid down in the para 3 of the clause 1 of the President's Order 1972 with delimitation of Parliamentary and Assembly Constituency Order 1976. Sidam Yauri si Kairao Yauri. Honorable members, Lamblai I Lamlai Yauri. 9 Tamayu Yauri. Tel Lang Tavan Yauri. 24 Nambol Yauri. 25 Oinam Yauri. 30 Lilong Yauri. 32 Wangkem Yauri. 33 Hero Yauri. Or Canonico Sigi record Nico. Masida the honorable member na I wish you must Kamina act of is confused like Hill area is the more home even notice east, west, south, and Torokanda, Adaki Tampaki lady areas in Hill, other than any member of the Manipur as a whole hill state in Lock Holes here and any hybrid. Sigi Poshishu Hazana Mashi Aduna shortly honorable member be concerned though. Kaimnative. Hill the lady or cannot see the Article 371 see the lady port Aduga rules of procedure conduct of business ki da yauriba post si implement the hunsi haibane, nothing else. I appreciate the spirit. Adagi hujiki recommendation to direct to Hill Committee na direct adum kano the thab su yaramani governor da adugi provision su le mo do man government da to ba recommendation aduga governor da to su yaram do mali I just I madugi deeply research amna sigi pon mayam si leibani na ha ekhoi se settlement amri to do bi aro samai sum leibadi aro samai sum leibadi aro huji ngasai honorable member korung thang na hai ki bodo hill area forest se kana nangai edi sigi area na karam mano karino hai bodo PIL ma thai en hai bodo PIL thari si kaino ni mai maming si PIL thari si A. Simre, is about 47, daughter of late Swami A. Simre, permanent residence of Sinjaro igi, man thabani. Sigi PILC dismissed away. Dismissed away kamina saying MLRA ki article clause number 150 section 158 ki matungina tribal amadagi atopa mi amda land se transfer to hoya de masi 158 MLRA ki is kana strictly thamme aduna just chief justice ne aduga justice bimol honorable high court justice bimol ani na tabas se kamai ta gebu therefore we have no hesitation to hold that provision of section 158 which is under chapter 8 no, sorry, chapter 13 of the MLR Act 1960 have been extended to the hill areas of Manipur, and accordingly the power of the state government to issue the income office memorandum is traceable under section 158 of the Act. In view of the above, we find no merit in the present PIL, and accordingly the same is dismissed, however without caution. Sida kari haina target da ngasai masigi poche ke nodi lakim na yamba more da Assam rifle gi yamna prime land mi gi hector more gi ek is policy ke kari ga si thab pajana kari gai saji ge gaina koi nong phatok chat pada yengba bai left side ki do kondong lai mi yong gi left side ki phajagra mampham se Assam rifle da village chief amna yon thom mane Assam Rifles is the Matamdugi, Matongi, Haina, Koimoina village, the Lowland over the Madudagi Langlaki Bukoni, Akoina Madagi, transparency, tribal Gillian, I'm missing the transport of the DC permission out the other. Aduga Sidasumu Hilda Canopiri, Powaron Piri, Mapandugi Koliba Edisido, Adugi understanding that the way Anamatum the cinema to pig the me. I'm clearly pale. Aduna ikoi ki si yamna chronic oi report khasle aduna honorable member Alfred ki seriousness towning report madu larger interest ni singi mayambo hen fana bani ikoi su madu ki larger interest ta support towe tawsu tawgani tawsu tawruba su lai hujik su tawgani tawbudabu sigi lairiba complicated oiba hujik aina order hujik panjari thoi kholi si mayam se angtang di ikoi constitutional expert team mamaka mathau tai ai adai kokse kenosu alfred ki interest nga ko ai deki tambak interest nga ko adu kamandu mandu solution leina yamna phajana state si amato oina chinga madi tam bot samana na saukhalaga mangda chatpa yana na mama gi rights of chasana phangba yana na report to sida piri ba hak right puna maksi fazana implement of boy ananaba I suggestion ni aina su pa me keno ki kumtang constitutionally expert be legal gi amtang kaur kan ai subcommittee gum amtang sem ge aduga fazana ungai thoroughly ungai yang hanse aduga khoi amu faminas punna adu sidaida ai di hill valley je khaining drabani to be frank ngang ba su sing tam mai sing ngang ba si baw da khoi kangbu na han mai ting to bu da khoi haina singi tamgi na ngang ba si bok to si ha da means machine division nama hena henkalang la ne do sabte koi on Manipur gi wa punbada ukrul district tangkhul naga audagi kuki maitai sumai na ngangaga Chochanpur district Mau district na nganga si ga na koi preliminary koi khanaraban maram di sine division je sum singtam man har ka sum laphok no gi gidro ga na pakatcha ba haitar ko adu hujiki leirami ba honorable member na pukhat piriba sigi like sida yauriba ek sida yauriba poto fazana ungtang implement tawunaba tawbugi poto I do agree, I do support madu ai athuba matamda ai kano support expert sing ungtang ai constitutor ungti yangan jage madu gi report to khanna naina bado ai hilarious committee gi mayam soi invite tok jage hai jan thamge amana kano gi do major bob cutting gi do amna ai khoi gi si thengi ai khoi Manipur si thengi ai manaba kano do pema khandoi na hanai on phone torame nang lakta ba yaroi army chief ke lo yawgani madai da maram di kano si Arunachal si magi bokwatingal amdra di Arunachal si nagi oramani he was the lone army officer who hosted the Indian tricolor at kano si da khoi gi Arunachal Pradesh ki si adna manatra di oiramaro na magi achauba kano sembui tore magi kano magi statue kari ado hojiki TN hills ta tauri du de ai di khangbu khangde knowledge pulite TN hill gi jisu pairi duna akoi ge government ma log de TN hills ki kangbu sisu mantri duna akoi government ma log de mo thok patok to bine ba mamang le torong bani aduna singja khotri gi maram sulei singja khotri gi maram sulei TN hills ta transparency su adum maram de akoi yangan de bu su yawe ba to be frank, Hujikang at the end, Hinlan size in a question lakan. And I get interested, the government interested. Nangasu, honorable member, Canonasu, Alfrenasu hybrid, I hunt the key, other any Shigi set Puduta. Kanoga, Pema Kandu, Bani, Pambito Kanda, Home Minister, Pema, and Sumai Sumai Tony, and Hakan Esa, Akui the Guinea, Akui Masani, Manipur Masani. Like I do, so I get Kendo singing. I give us Obama, Magi Mingus Hadorabani. High Trogan, the art and culture is the 3 crore already, just present budget, the origin 3 crore. Handaki budget they happen whenever. None honorable members know my own the Palamaduda. Honorable member phones is one pungi, the way Paupi get a wisdom. At the Gi Fujiki 3 crore similar, Pajana Shankani, Adoga ID, Fujiki Kanogido, Arunachal Gidu. Honorable CM Nadi Latabi Roy, and I had in assembly Shumai in a budget session to have the mother. Oh, budget session with the Faria Nangi the state Kinuigi, the Nangi Kundu, Magi Pokundu, the Tony have to do the Eco. I show Lakani and Torga, my toe. I don't know. Honorable member, she am the Chronico state issue in a say concerning food, the young Kay the Gitogana, later Portama Queen of Hujik, Horen Hector Budo. Nang hierarchy have the member hide the Hanati hierarchy other was a target by the Bugita Winnie, other massive Hadana, quick expert committee in the Torga review to Hunga, have a wafung Tamaga. I listen again.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir, what the Honorable Leader of the House and the Chief Minister has laid before the table is a report of the Delimitation Commission. I don't think that the Delimitation Commission's recommendations or any reports will take precedence over an article of the Constitution. Constituencies may get less or more. The only thing is the areas have been defined. The first schedule is Manipur North, Manipur East, Manipur West, Manipur South revenue districts, Chandel, Chakpikarong and Teknopal revenue subdivisions. This is clear. When this is clear, Manipur East was Ukhrul, Manipur North became this Senapati, Manipur West is Tamilong, and Manipur South was this Churchanpur. Chandel, Chakpekarong, Teknopal revenue districts, subdivisions, this became Chandel district. So it is the hills of Manipur. With regard to para 3 of the Constitution of the Hill Areas Committee, there shall be a hill. This house cannot be misled. I will not mislead, neither can anybody mislead this house, Honorable Deputy Speaker, sir. The Constitution of the Hill Areas Committee is paragraph number 3. 1. There shall be a Hill Areas Committee of the Assembly consisting of all members of the Assembly who, for the time being, represent assembly constituencies situated wholly or partly in the hill areas of the state. Provided that the Chief Minister of the state and the Speaker shall not be members of the Hill Areas Committee, every minister, including a Minister of State or Deputy Minister of the state, shall have the right to speak in and otherwise take part in the proceedings of the Hill Areas Committee, but shall not, this is the important part, by virtue of such right be entitled to vote at any meeting of the committee if he is not a member thereof. Speaker sir, the rule is clear. Every single executive is welcome to be part of the proceedings and meetings of the committee. But what is important is the voting. When any resolution is to be taken, when the proceedings are to be passed, that is when voting will take place. And when voting takes place, nobody else who is not a member of the scheduled areas, that is Manipur East, North, West, South, which is now Kangpokpi, what you call Senapati, Tamenglong, None, Pherzao, Churachandpur, Chandel, Teknopal, Ukhrul, Kamjong. These are the districts in the schedule, the area. The area is clear. So the Honorable Leader of the House laying his statement that Kerao and all, this is part of the Delimitation Commission's process. Delimitation Commission has nothing to do with the Hill Areas Committee. Neither is the Hill Areas Committee a member of the Delimitation Commission. Ex-official members are selected by the Honorable House, Honorable Speaker, and co-opted. There has co-opted members. That has nothing to do with us. Hill Areas Committee and the delimitation has no relevance and no connection. But as the Honorable Chief Minister has said, I am very constrained, Honorable Deputy Speaker sir, to mention that the Honorable Leader of the House would say, let us not distinguish between hill and valley. The budget itself, you put in hill and valley separately. The plan itself is segregated. The other is entire hills is scheduled tribe area, which is not under MLR Act. More was denotified, Kangpopi was denotified, and that is the reason why MLR Act could, they had access to MLR Act. Ukhrul, there is no area which has been denotified. It's all scheduled areas. In scheduled areas is the area where Hill Areas Committee's recommendations or proposals or the effectiveness of the Hill Areas Committee would come into question. So, Honorable Deputy Speaker sir, like the Honorable Leader of the House has said, he would call in constitutional experts. I would wish that this happened before this close of this financial year, so that this term is ending in another year. 4 years I have vociferously asked that this be operationalized. But till date, I have just been hearing excuses. Today I feel that the Honorable Leader of the House is not trying to give an excuse or trying to escape. He is just reading out what his bureaucrats are supplying him, the documents. This House cannot be misled. I will never mislead this House. It is the truth that has to prevail and the rule of law. Honorable Deputy Speaker sir, under your chairmanship, today, may it be a moment which will usher in an envelope change for the hills. Hills being 90% of the area of the state, it is high time that peace and progress, it marched side by side, irrespective of area. So the Honorable Chief Minister, who is also the Leader of the House, who has laid his statement that all these can be members, I think that needs to be expunged because they cannot be. That is not the law. They cannot be. And the Honorable Minister T.A.N. Hills, who gave his statement that it is the Council that will finally accept. That is also not true. So that also needs to be expunged from the proceedings of the House, because we cannot directly recommend to the Honorable Governors, Honorable Speaker sir. I am clear on that. I spoke very clear on that this has to go to the government and the Cabinet Council, which has said so very clearly. If the Council is of the opinion that it would not be expedient to do so, that is, accept the recommendation of the Hill Areas Committee, that the Hill Race Committee was not competent to make any such recommendations, the matter shall be referred to the governor, whose decision thereon shall be final and binding on the council, and the action shall be taken accordingly. Speaker, sir. This is the rule of law. So the Cabinet Council does not have superintendence or precedence over the Hill Race Committee. This has to be clear in the proceedings of the House, and that this is not a conflict of interest. This is just trying to ensure that the rule of law takes precedence over personal interests and departmental interests, be it the executive, be it the legislature. It has to, in the end, be the rule of law. Thank you, Speaker, sir.
Honorable CM,
Honorable Speaker, sir. Siki posi aduna ay ngasai su khamjakrabani yamna complex oiba sahi ni pu yankhai dagi adum chanaraga lakpa hujik tawre podu onthok sai bani adu onthoksi haiba di thabo oina onthoksi haiba adu aikoi ne heta onthokninge no onthokpu yaga ai pera kharam su pajakramne seli area hana ki thom be notice du kai tawi kun kaya yawi karam assembly smai palami kholami hoi delimitation ki part ni dunia da ne Hill Committee na recommend to cabinet, state cabinet also have to say something, have to say something. Later, Henga cannot know quick stam don't know Hillian Tore Tauro, not Tobudi Tore, a quick issue, cabinet in a Loina Singdom, Loina Yawapo to Carino Kamaito Munokari, Habidu, the Kanabata Banaduna, Aina, or Mayam, the opinion Shulorogaina. Masidi kitang complicated issue even in a expert constitutional experts in Kara Tanaraga Adagi Kangasin Kauraga Kenoma Santok Simjin Moidigi advice some Lauraga Kamaitoxi and Tanaba the Sumbra Haida the Minam Toxi and say honorable members of Hijak Redon Hujiki Hoi Hill Committee recommend or put the merit and the merit Karino Kamaito Guno have to Aikoigi cabinet is Yauri Sidum, Hilariaki Mayam Suyauri, Beligi Mayam Suyauri, the Punong Kaminarga, Kaidaway, I get a recommendation to Karino, merit and the meritum from Gain Gay and other minor.
Okay. Yalsita.
Speaker, so one clarification. The Honorable Leader of the House has said that the Cabinet Council has to give its opinion. Sir, the rule of law is not that. I have to mention this, Speaker, otherwise it will go down in the proceedings of this House, Speaker, sir, and you as the constituent cannot allow that. Speaker, sir, see, third schedule is modification in the rules of business of the government of Manipur 1972. Para 12A says the Council shall normally give effect to the recommendation of the Hill Areas Committee under subparagraph 3 or paragraph 4 of the Manipur Legislative Assembly Hill Areas Committee Order 1972. But if the Council is of the opinion that it would not be expedient to do so, or that the Hill Areas Committee was not competent to make any such recommendations, the matter shall be referred to the governor, whose decisions thereon shall be final and binding on the Council, and the action shall be taken accordingly. Honorable Speaker, sir, I cannot miscommunicate or misread the rule of law. Honorable Chief Minister says the Council will give its opinion. You cannot give your opinion. You have to forward it to the Honorable Governor, and the decision of the Honorable Governor will be final and binding on all sides. That is the law. So, Speaker, sir.
So, Honorable Leader in the Suhaili, Madam DC, Matam Sanadi Senator Lakwakara, Sendok Jin Nisi, expert Karsang having a Matam Karlo the Kisukai.
Honorable Speaker, I agree. That if it is only that part, I have no problem.
Okay.
But it is when Honorable Leader of the House mentioned that the Council also has to give its say and opinion. That is not allowed. This law prohibits. This is all I'm saying.
See, so let us discuss some other time.
No, Speaker, sir, if that is the case, then I cannot allow. Speaker, sir, modification in the rules of business of the government of Manipur. The modifications directed in the third schedule shall be made in the rules of business of the government of Manipur. It is so clear. And shall not in any way be affected by any amendments that may hereafter be made in the said rules by the government under Article 166 of the Constitution. The Cabinet Council is run under Article 166. This law says 166 can never have superintendence or precedence over 371C. That is all, Speaker, sir.
A leader of the House, Hanadiki Channel Lako Port Karadu, of the Yingini Gahana, anyway, Makadi Lavidrego Kanogi, okay, travel affairs. Then next, Honorable Minister, Environment, Walibra. Okay, please.
Sir, after the heated debate in this August House, in a side point, Kredi, Tamzagivani Mayamdo, cannot observe, sir. I'm a Katang Tamzagi, sir. Honorable Minister, I know, say Hangzagiba. This budget, budget is highest in the history of Manipur. 8,000 crore hena, sir, Mamangi. Budget tagi, handaki bisna, here live never, sir. And the I know, say Hangzagivda. What is the justification of this huge cut? Mamangi Arida Aduga Handaki budget estimate Yemada 185 crores budget tagi cut to Masi Akoi government Sigisu Yamna Choba Chingi go to hill Ching the labor development Walho Miam Singsi Akoi Hena my partner Amuke Hena Akoi cannot Torga when they have a pandam Chobo Miam Labiri Service. Huge budget cut am lazy masi justification ji karigino kamaina no have do karai the kathar ibno have is hen akwai hen more hen expect to more than 200-300 crore habsa laga hen sing sakon na to bigadra na kan masi ka isi kamain to no masi justification jim have be yagadra minister. Thank you.
Kenogi honorable CM the people kara phajado male honorable CM to be.
Honorable Speaker, sir. Budget kakpa kaktaba hoy khara handonjin Committe ki karigi adugi factor da lerangwane priority khara da piba pidaba do priority pibam je chingju pi health su pi loin piba de yaro priority khara da pi khara da handarani adu badu handayana development soiga da mate akoi corpus fund na tongana leiri central scheme leiri central share president leiri ana singi Makhalam taki walhandana development adum sab sana hanagi leirami mamang sahidu ki hangkatna tawni na tumay tam jalo isa. Yado yapiro.
Yes. Next, Honorable Minister, Forest and Environment.
Honorable Speaker, sir, I would like to express my gratitude to all the honorable members who have shown their concern and have given valuable suggestions to enhance the department under demand number 19, forest, environment and forests. Sir, honorable member, senior member na department si muthal siya muthat pati muthaloy si mayam gi concern lai biduna mayam na yam phajaba suggestions thambiba si ai one by one ai panjadring eda amukasu appreciate tawningi Forest Department under the guidance of our Honorable Chief Minister all the members in the House mayam punamaki concern lai biduna kamaina khoge Manipur si environment as well as forest si improvement lai sira kamaina preserve tausira kamaina conserve tausira have miyam si miyam gi interest ni hana law galoinana akhoi su yam kan honari akhoi gi record matung na di there has been a lot of improvement yam na sulei akhoi National Forest Policy 1988 ki Makhada prescribed oversee hill areas the 67% si forest leifam thoi leibo phei habaki lei, whereas akhoi Manipur state ti ngasi phawbada 75.46% houzik lei. Akhoi tongan ba forest protection piba loina na forest mangduna leiba mangduna leiba chabi yaba dugumba miyam sisu livelihood kidmakta kanabo onthoknaba dugum su yam kanna paikhatuna lei. Under PMB, I am under BDK gi makada koigi 2019 gi October the launch Honorable Chief Minister launch to be matungda ngasi fawba all India da koina number 1 oina lei. Akoi siguma progress mam ai one by one charali matam siam lawdore ai matam leira di khradi panjage khanbani adu matam leira matam su yam sangna chakhrabani na ai sumaina telap thamaga ai khoi honorable members sing na raise to be ai thamjana ba toge. Honorable member Joy Kishan Sahab na thambiba timber smuggling gi matangda thambi se khoi illegal timber transportation se khoi check tawi akoina TP kaktaba dugumba akoi thainaradi phai Assam Rifle na su phai police na su phai particular na khoi honorable member na panbi khiba truck load taruk 9 June 2022 the phakhiba du auze khoi gi custody lai si ocean toner ba khoi ose government gi rule makha da khoi process kana tawduna lai khoi gi honorable member Sarja Kumar na thambiba matangda ai sumaina thamjage akhoi fresh encroachers myam da khoi dum lothoe as of now 95 encroachers see akhoi inbid thore for during last 3 years. Encroachers sing si akhoi sum check tawrga lei time to time aduga kreguma khoi theinaba kanda akhoi inbid chu tawbani adubo akhoi gi problems khradi lei problems leiba have say there are some areas in the reserve forest area akhoi gi overlapping oiba revenue na su pata pi su leiba whereas akhoi gi forest ki reserve forest ki map manung do samuk chanba adu akhoi gi honorable chief minister ki advice makhada joint survey tore harga asi reserve forest makhada leikdobra natraga revenue gi makhada lakdobna habi sisu sigi conflict area gi area sida akhoi final decision lobia na ba chief secretary na luchingba committee ma semaga hoji kanna survey joint survey chathari asi joint survey loiraba matung dadi akhoi position si yam clear oina khoina action lobia ba dugum su henna thorakani habse thamjage aduga campa gi makhada akhoi pairiba thabak se honorable speaker sir 80% say afforestation da 80% of the funds say afforestation the season 20% asina infrastructure and other works sigumba the season nabagi provision laser aduna sigi makhada akhoi season riba si e-green watch portal haina Ministry of Environment and Forests and Climate Change ki makhada sigumba portal lay asida khoi sum khoi gi progress si upload tawrga leibni sa aduga member na suggestion pb ba khoi gi eco park kumba eco tourist area kumba da plantation tawba kanda indigenous species se season view have se khoi priority pire harga indigenous plantation indigenous species se khoi paina na ba khoi tawge have se thamjage Honorable Member D. Kuringthang Sapna Thambiba concern asi akoi why akoi su tongan route tagi timber smuggler singna u pura chele khole ba thek ta bada akoi information phang bada akoi gi mi thai sometime akoi gi force akoi gi mi se yamna shortage oibina police ki mateng su lawi adumain tawraga akoi na thengnaba du de akoi pharaga confiscated tawbani akoi hojik Manipur da leiriba akoi gi strength se yamna hojik se yam shortage way tasengbadi square kilometer amada within a square kilometer the at least 3 forest guard na men tawdobani protect tawdobani whereas akoi da leiriba strength aduga leiriba jungle areas yengba kanda akoi na men tawrisi 24 square kilometer the forest guard ama ne hojik akoi leiriba strength ga leiriba area se aduna akoi gi forest gi department na yengsimba kanda yam difficulty yam lei aduna akoi state ki forcing su mogi mateng su lore haraga akoi in spite of his shortage akoi tobi aba akoi ngasi fawde sumaina tawraga lei sa ai thamjage aduga akoi ge ADC na paiba unclassed forest or unsurveyed forest or surveyed forest haibase jurisdiction kamain lebra haina hangbibagi matang sida akoi honorable chief minister na so asi forest ki rules akoi state leiriba asi yengba kanda clear rules se akoi sem samuk darkar leire haina akoi kanna rules sem na ba honori forest chingi forest si ADC gi act makha da di incorporate di tobire haraga rules jamuk leitaba how to use habise aduna hojik kidi unclassed forest or unsurveyed area or natraga unreserved area or natraga government na krigumba wildlife sanctuary natraga protected area hana lothok khidaba mafam makhaide it is still belongs to the chief of the village or the common land of the village mutungena village kanaguma village the chief na ningthauna dugumba area gi lammapu oi kanagumba village tadi khun pulap aduna common land oina su lei sumaina akoi government na ngasi fawbadi akoi mohoi gi ayaba yawda bida land owner through forest se season na dabani only after obtaining the permission of the village chief or the landowner or the village adu mutungda akoi lam se season na daba yadaba dugumba government gi purpose ta leizarabuso akoi permission lauraga and then through DCSDO gi through the sumaina lauraga akoi lam se season na bani ngasi fawbadi asumaina clear rule ADC na sumaina pai gdoba habase rule leitabagi maramna sugumba jurisdiction clear wena leite hairabusu lei habusu yai maramde reserve forest na taba chingdadi the rest it is still belongs to the village habase ai thamjage adugo zoom control system ase for a very long time akoi Manipur da zoom control policy or zoom regulation policy se leiramde aduna karige zoom regulation policy se matik chana pai da bano haina akoi honorable chief minister gi luching makhada akoi yam kana nei na bakanda nodal department amakak akoi appoint toba natraga identify toba darkar lei habigi damakta akoi cabinet na decision lauraga very recently forest environment and forest department sibu nodal department khanbiraga hojai akoi gi department gi officer PCCF gi rank level da akoi na interest tore haraga gym regulation policy yesi akoi yam kanna asumaina akoi seme haraga ngasi akoi na Ministry of Agriculture and Family Welfare da project ama thakre project cost se 462.80 crore gi project ama akoi thakre hojikti gym regulation policy se akoi Manipur da lairari hojikti gym control system sisu systematic oina akoi pakhatba yana naba yam kanna honaduna lei habise ai thamjage aduga khoigi forest chingda deforest obse maram yam lei amasina one of the biggest reason of deforestation is zoom cultivation ni zoom si shifting tobnina khun the whole village na mafam ama dagi mafam ama every year dum cut slash and burn torga chatpanina forest si asum mangbata aduga with the increase of population the size of the village na cultivate to chahi chahi so muk hengalle aduna ngasai honorable member mana akoi gi Sir Ranjit Sahab na panbiba 489.10 in a year degrade to abisi chumbani adu one of the reason of deforestation is zoom cultivation ni adu akoi na ate means of livelihood chamong leitaba villagers sing si adu da low uzarga hingzabanina akoi alternative means akoi amuk su pi da banina akoi control to bi yade have khang tak su yadraba aduna asigi control system se kamaina to se harganda regulation policy makhak leitradi we cannot just ask the villagers to stop the zoom practice we have to offer them or we have to show them a way how to find alternative means of livelihood I would say some kan bakanda gym regulation policy si am dangai phada bani habik che khale harga government gi policy ma ona hojik paikhat pa hore akoi soidana ministry na su ayab su pibi gini hai lowe maramdi it is a concern of not only our state it is a global concern aduna deforestation cause of deforestation one of the major causes zoom cultivation ni mathangda akoi gi poppy plantation tauba or natragana some other developmental works like highway railway power grid aduga tongan ba lambi sem kanda su forest adum degrade tawe adubo one of the major causes is zoom cultivation ni haina lawre harga akoi si control tonba policy ma leire habisi mi amang da ai thamjabani aduga honorable member Alfred Chapna thambiba khogi forest gi rule se akoi frame tonba khoi honorable chief minister na su yam kanna cabinet na su akoi preliminary discussion si tawrabani adubo we need some experts how to frame a rules habisi lebi damakta matam khra lawkhibani otherwise the custodian of the forest in the unclassed area to the village na dum oiri habise ai house thamjage aduga akhoi gi developmental program paikhat bakanda karigumba forest na plantation tobo erabusu that is for the village only reserve forest natraga karigumba du onthok panate under different project makhada khoina ching the plantation tobo punamak se akhoi khun adugi mapuna du mapu oi